Hi everyone, it's Michelle Lightworker here, and welcome to Enlightened Conversations. One of my soul brothers on this planet, Ted Winslow, is joining me for today's Enlightened Conversation. We connected last year and have really similar missions on this planet to really join everybody's hearts and minds and intentions towards raising the vibrational frequency of this planet. So he's very dear to my heart. I'm sure that I'll have more connection with Ted in the future moving forward. It's my privilege to have him on the show today. Just to share space with him is just such an honour. I really want to formally introduce Ted because so that you realise how amazing he is, an amazing being that has really accomplished so much in his life towards a very practical approach to measuring high vibrational frequencies as well. So Ted Winslow, he's a sound healing researcher, he's a producer, audio engineer, musician, singer, vocal coach and songwriter. He's got over 25 years experience in the music business. And this is an old bio, so I'm sure it's a lot more than 25 right now. It's probably 26, 27. Holding a BS in music and audio engineering from the University of Colorado. And in addition to his musical background, Ted runs Big Country Productions, which is a division of Big Country Publishing, located in Colorado as well. He works with organisations and clients from all around the world, where he produces commercials, writes music, produces videos, builds custom internet TV stations, records and produces audiobooks as well. Ted is also involved in extensive sound healing research through biophotonic imaging testing or electrophotonic imaging testing, you can say either or, where he works with the effects of sound on the human energy field. Which has validated his trademarked sound healing technology, SOUNDSYNCTECH. Ted is a leader in the field of sound healing with his best-selling CDs on Amazon and available through iTunes and Tower Records. So I'm very excited to introduce my soul brother, Ted Winslow. Hi, Ted.
Hi, how are you? I'm enlightened to be here on Enlightened Conversations with you. Thank you so much for having me on. And great job on doing electrophotonic imaging, biophotonic. These science terminologies that they come up with, they just have to, let's see how difficult we can make this on the average layperson. Yeah, it's me every time.
I felt very average this morning. I was trying to practice it. As I said, I was like, electro. I just biophotonic's so much easier. Let's just keep it to biophotonic. Thanks for letting me know that before we started, because that came in handy. So hey, last time I spoke to you, it was probably just towards the end of, it might have been August-ish last year, and I remember you're on the front cover of Lightworker Advocate magazine. I absolutely love doing that story on you and covering how you got to doing what you're doing now and your journey towards that. Absolutely fascinating. And I had you on for a brief stint on A1R Psychic Radio and enjoyed that. But I kind of feel like it's been a long time between conversations, and so probably a bit to catch up on. And I'm really excited to hear how things have been going and rocking and rolling for you, sweetie.
Everything's been going great. I took a turn as the world of technology, especially with music industry and music, is constantly evolving and changing and bringing some of the past in and some of the stuff that we think ahead of time to bring that in, and some stuff that doesn't do us any good to let that go out. I've had a lot of evolution that's been coming through me for the recording process. In fact, so much so, I had one album and I was ready to release it. And as soon as I was getting to this process where the album's finished and we go to mix and master it and put it to distribution, I felt that everything had changed again. So we had to sit down and have a meeting. I'm like, I have to rewrite this whole thing. So I'm in the process of rewriting that one. On top of, I had another album that just got released, which is solfeggio vocal toning and chakra balancing. So that was kind of going on to my vocalist in series with sound healing and using our voice with our chambers and our resonance So that one finally came out, and then this other one about halfway through this other one too that's coming through. So it's been wonderful. I'm just truly blessed to be able to do this and share this with everybody, and just lift our frequencies and our vibrations and our spirits. And
you know, wow, I can so relate to that in my own way too, because when you reach a certain frequency after you've done something, you look back and go, oh, now it could change to this. And it's like, you know, it doesn't mean what just happened was wrong at all. It was perfectly suited for our process actually too, of what the vibration that we're holding, and yet consciousness, I think, as we change, catches up with us, doesn't it? It's a funny kind of irony, and you know, it could keep going like that for a long time, I think. So it's sometimes we just got to capture it where it wants to sit at that moment, and then move on perhaps to the next project that brings that new energy in as well. I mean, otherwise we can stay in, I'm not saying you're doing this, but it can happen. I know it because I've been there. You know, you can stay in some kind of stagnation around trying to perfect the energies and express the perfection of the energies. So the nature of, I feel, the nature of us channeling and allowing these energies to come through us, the nature of that, it re-engages and activates things inside of us that we are yet to experience, and then when we hop into that, we go, oh, well, that was okay, but this is amazing. Do you relate to that?
Oh, I totally relate to that. And I guess that's just like on a whole nother level, being really conscious to what we're doing and what we're going to. But yeah, it's like, what's the theory? They're like, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And it's always tough in the music industry that because it's changed so dynamically so much that we're constantly having to kind of put product out and put out quality product. And I didn't feel that was really meeting the quality standards of where I'm going with my testing and going with the changing the frequencies on it. And so for an example, on this new album that I'm working on, I wanted to I got into a discussion on looking on plants, because as plants feel and are energetically, and here's dealing with photons, like the biophotonic imaging that I do, I'm looking at this plant and I'm like, okay, I wanted to see what this popular music's going to do to the plant. And sure enough, we just kind of see this plant kind of like, oh, give me something else. And so we got that. And then we put my sound healing music onto it, where the plant came back to life and flourished on it. And then I took a couple samples of it so that you could see the energy of what this music, this 440 that we hear so much, does to it. And then afterwards, when we fill up with all these other frequencies that we don't necessarily always get in our daily lives, which is what led me to doing all these albums with all these frequencies of 528, 432. And so hopefully I'll have that out in the next week or so, but it's really cool seeing the life and the energy that you could tell that our bodies and those living organisms and all that stuff that just, you know, we're missing.
Oh my God, I just love you. You're amazing. You're doing testing with plants now. This is incredible. You're rocking it. I mean, so far out. Oh my God. That is awesome. Because the way I look at plants is that they're like a representation of our etheric nature, or our, the part of us that is our life force, our chi, our building block to heal, to recover, to feel energized and to feel full, so we don't burn out. So it's like, it rounds us out. So we're not like, ooh, and that feeling when you're walking around, oh my God, I can't get. And so the etheric body is really what the plant is, and we all have that as well. And so, if you're capturing the biophotonic imaging on the plant, then of course that's their high quantity of water too. That's what's happening for our etheric body. That's a really, I don't know if you realize that that's sort of level of what you're doing too, but that's what I'm seeing being shown to me.
Oh, thanks for the feedback. Sometimes I get so caught up with this, thinking I'm kind of, sometimes I start to try to look for something that I think that I'm looking for. And so, yeah, thank you so much for the feedback on that. That's, figure that our bodies are like 75% water. And as Dr. Emoto has said with the hidden messages in water through his book, that, we can hit things with negative energy and it just, as he kind of describes, turns to mud. And then we hit things with love, saying, oh, I love you, oh, good job, or how, it just changes the dynamic of that in the water is being the biggest carrier of the frequency on that.
Exactly. And just for people who don't understand what we're talking about when we're saying 440 and 528, it's around that measured frequency or megahertz of a frequency of how a piece of music is recorded. And so what Ted's talking about, just correct me if I'm wrong here, Ted, because you are the expert here, but that if it's recorded in a certain vibration, or it's actually affecting our vibration a certain way. And most of today's music is recorded in 440 megahertz. And that's what Ted's talking about when he says, when he exposed the planet to 440, it was like, ugh. And then when he played it, the other music, which was on the 528 megahertz, was I listening correctly to that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
The planet started to flourish.
So, yeah, yeah, 440, they developed it, the British Standard Institute of Music, it established that just before World War II had broken out. And at the time, Joseph Goebbels was there saying this is of utmost importance, that we change this frequency to 440. So to go a little bit deeper for help to get a better understanding of that for the audience, is that when a concert sits down to tune up, or like if I take a guitar down, you'll put a tuner onto it, and the tuners are already, for the most part, calibrated to 440, which is a hertz frequency. And it's a dissonant frequency, much to most people probably aren't aware of that because they haven't heard these other frequencies. And so they'll tune that to A, it's A above middle C, at 440 hertz, and now we're blasted with that. So you think about that. A lot of radio programming, a lot of media programming, advertising is all in this dissonant frequency that's going to have us somewhat on edge or agitated. And I find it kind of funny because my background, I started out as a rock musician. Back in the 80s, as a product of the 80s. And here we're with these megawatt amplifiers that are just boosting out all this energy, and we're screaming at the audience with 440. And it's no wonder that some of the greatest bands in the world have broken up, because now they're just hearing this night after night after night, just being body pounded by this frequency. I started experimenting around with it in college because I noticed that each hertz is going to be relevant to a certain key signature. Now, all this that I'm saying is all relative to music and deals with some of the mathematic and harmonic aspects of it. And so as oscillatory beings that we are, with 440 hertz pounding us, we start going into that direction. And I'm trying to explain to all these guys with long hair, in the 80s was excess and cigarettes hanging out and drinking whatever it was of it. I'm like, hey guys, I got this great idea. I think we should play with altered tunings because it's going to actually change. Not at that point, it was the composition, but I could tell energetically where I was coming with it. And they're all looking at me going, what? Nah, dude, I can't deal with that. So that's kind of led me to go off on my own and play with it and experiment with it. And I've been able to work with some doctors and scientists so that we can really see how it's really better changing all of us. And
yeah, I'm excited that you've allowed yourself to really take it to that level where you're having it tested. You're really getting I love it when spirituality and science, or energetics and science, come together like that, because I really feel that they validate each other. I don't think that they dispute each other at all. I actually, when I was studying Steiner education, Rudolf Steiner education, he was incredible. Like, he was so scientific, it was ridiculous. And like, he called himself a spiritual scientist, and like, all his lectures were kind of transcribed and written, and they're crazy detailed into the scientific world as to how the spiritual relates to the scientific. You know, I really enjoyed that, and I really feel that I guess it's the way that sometimes the human race needs to see the scientific evidence to really believe what's going on, or to make sense of what's going on as well. So I know that faith is a big one for me, and that sometimes just stepping into the unknown and trusting my spiritual connection is what changes my vibration and helps me to understand the scientific stuff too, because I have learned a lot of scientific stuff without reading a book. You know, it's just come through. But at the same time, I have a lot of compassion for the human race and understand that well, I see science as a part of spirituality. I mean, I feel like we are an expression of spirit, and we're in this human body. So why wouldn't science be? Why wouldn't maths be? Why wouldn't physics be? Why wouldn't all that be? You know?
I just realized that my computer that's plugged up to this is missing the cord.
Oh, really?
But it's right here. It just like gave me an alert. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. You go for it. I can keep talking. I could talk forever.
Well,
Did you?
I got it. I must have like kicked it out. You know, it's one of those technical difficulty things. It's like running in. You can still, yeah, that's. Yeah, no, I love that when we keep finding like a new spiritual teacher that's out there that starts to bring in or talk about other sciences, because the further that I go through this, that I keep finding, you know, oh, I figured this out. Oh, I realized this. And, you know, I've got the alpha added into this one and the theta added into this one. And the tuning's precise on this one. And now I'm doing another engineering skill with it. It's like I start coming across going, okay, I know I don't know what I don't know. And it was hearing these other people, you know, their philosophical ideas and ideologies and what they're going. It's such a vast universe. We can clearly see energetically, which we're all energy, what's going to work for one person energetically, they might be thriving and running perfectly through with that vibration, doesn't work with another person. And then they're realizing, I've got to alter this or change this to be able to get, that frequency feels much better to me. And that's what I love about dealing with the sciences and all of this, is that it gives you a more precise way, especially with music, because it's all auditory. We can hear it and we can kind of somewhat feel it, but where can you really go from there to really show it?
It's that other dimension. It's like, especially for visual learners, you know, I mean, I'm highly auditory. I mean, a lot of my messages from spirit just do come through. I just literally hear them, and then I might see them, and then I might feel them. But it's usually the first instance. It's here, usually this year too, which is really interesting. So I'm highly auditory. Perhaps that's why we get on so well. We quite relate, you know, to sound and to energy through sound. For me, I feel like there are a lot of people out there, and all roads lead to Rome in my book. So if you can present the material in a way that's visual and it helps people to understand what we're talking about, that's fantastic. And I love it. I love seeing it myself, because, you know, you're actually validating something that I can only use, like speak in words really, to someone else. And so it makes my job easier to communicate that.
I have to ask you this. Do you ever get woken up in the middle of the night with hearing messages in your head, or your higher self, your white self talking to you?
Yeah, I pretty much have that 24/7 when I'm awake. And then sometimes my acute time of messages coming through where there's a bit of a download, it would be at the beginning of the day. If I do wake up, say in the middle of the night, or that kind of thing, like on the tail end of a dream or something like that, a lot of messages come through there. So morning is my best time, you know, like, or upon waking is my best time. So yeah, I really find lots of stuff. And then also when I'm actually exercising, when I'm out and about, I feel like the energy as it's moving with the breath, I feel like there's something to do with the breath there, because the more my breath is moving, the more I feel like I'm inviting messages to come through as well. So what will happen is, just say I go out on a jog or a walk, the first half of it, I might just be, just be enjoying the walk and enjoying the scenery and just waking up, or just feeling my body wake up too, because sometimes when you're a bit tired or what have you. And then the last half of it's usually like, I'm not kidding, like if I used to be a to-do list person, write to-do lists, plan everything out to the nth degree, maybe plan weeks ahead, all that kind of stuff, and I will just get all this big download of what to do that day, and then some for whatever. It's all comes through without me having to even try. So that's how it works for me. Why do you wake up in the middle of the night sometimes with like messages happening?
Yeah, they're like my spiritual personal assistants. They're like, hey, wake up, and you're like, okay. It seems like every hour before I get up, I'll have a plan with what I'm going to do for that next day in the studio, and they're like, you got to go back onto this song, and this is more of what we're looking for, and this is what we're going to do. And it's so funny. I used to be one of those people that always had a watch on. And I always had to be looking to make sure where I was with time or anything. And it's kind of like, you got to get rid of that. You don't need that. We're going to tell you where you have to be. Yeah, where you have to be and when you have to be there. Yeah,
absolutely. I totally resonate with that. I remember the first workshop I ever delivered. You're going to laugh. I had probably about an hour or so, and I had everything that I was going to say in 2-minute blocks. So I had everything timed. Wow, I that just blows my mind now, because most of the time when you can see what we're doing here, we haven't even got a topic that we're talking about. We're just talking about whatever we feel like we're talking about, or really we're creating a space for spirit to drop in and go, well, what do you want us to talk about? And for me, I feel there's a lot of power in that. We're in that place of surrender. Especially with our work, especially the way we work. And I can't talk about that highly enough, Ted. Even today, I had us booked in, like it's Friday, hence I'm wearing my bling because I'm feeling really cool and fun on a Friday. We had our recording plan for 12, and I had other things move around, and it was just like, oh, well, we could bring it forward, da, da, da. And it's like, yeah, I'm here in the studio, la, la, la. And that's the way we're working. It's not control freaky, and I think it's the new way of working. Yes, you plan things, and yes, life has a schedule. Sure, I've got filming for the next 3 weeks too. I have had to schedule. But also there's that component of surrender, and also that's component of collaboration with spirit, partnership with spirit, knowing that the timing will be perfect, whether they turn up on time, cancel, reschedule, bring the appointments forward, what have you. Working on a song today, tweaking this, tweaking that, working on this. I didn't plan to work on something today that I know I'll be working on later. Totally wasn't in my plan. So it's interesting that we're talking about this, because that's actually what we're living. That's what we're walking.
Oh yeah, that's funny that you said that with what you just described that, because I was sitting here working on some mastering in the next room, and all of a sudden I'm like, I think I got to go check on the computer and with where I'm going to be broadcasting in here. And I came and popped it up and just made sure everything was running right. And that's when I noticed, like, hey, can you do it early today? It's like we're in synchronicity, and yet here I'm in Colorado, North America. You're there in Oz. It's like, that's amazing how it could just be on that same wavelength with where we're at. I mean, it's a beautiful thing when you get into that synchronization.
Oh, it is. And it's, you know what, there's a real ease and peace around it in the way you work, because for whatever reason, and I'm sure I'll find out later on, and I'll be sure to message you around it, we've freed up the rest of my day, because I had other things that I planned to do today. I had some medical stuff that I had checked out yesterday, and I made an appointment today for a follow-up appointment if I needed it. And I got the all clear. We weren't worried about it, but you check things out, and then it was all fine. It's like, yeah, you're all fine. And I was like, oh, cool. So hence I didn't need to do it. I will have pretty much a whole free day after this. And my VA said, oh, could you work on this, because this needs doing. And so now I'm going to have a chunk of time when you need a chunk of time to do something, to be able to do that. And now you're recording in the afternoon. and now for whatever reason your evening's free, and I'm almost 100% certain there's some reason for that as well. So it's interesting. I think it's really important to share these kind of ways we live with people, because they understand that, we don't have it all sorted out just because we're actually in tune and in touch with spirit. We don't need to. In fact, it's the opposite. We don't need to have it all sorted out. We just need to be able to turn up on our day and say, well, what's going down? How do you want me to do this? And really trust that, and honor that in each other too. Because if you hadn't have been able to, I would have been fine about that. No worries. Sure, I'll just do what I got to do here, prep work or whatever, and then do what I got to do there. So yeah, it's kind of cool that we can share this with everybody, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things that, as we go through the spiritual journey, we're just talking a lot about like what we do daily on work, and it's a wonderful way to incorporate the frequency and that vibration into what we do with work and in our job, because and I spent a lot of time in the corporate world before I was able to branch off and be able to really do this full time. And it's tough when you're sitting there and you're working a job and you're doing the best that you can, and you're turning out great work, and the upper levels or management turns right back around and is like, well, we need you to do this, we need you to do more of this, we need you to do that. And it's kind of like, okay, and we're not getting the recognition. And it's like, where do we get the release to get the restoration back for our body? On top of there's a lot of families out there that might be going through family drama. It leaves some holes inside of our chakras, inside of our energy field, inside of our auras. And that was that brought me back around to when I was doing the music. I could see how it's replacing all of those shots that we take from a daily basis, or that we're taking, as you wake up in the morning and you're not excited because you got to go meet that coworker who's going to make that inappropriate comment that you might not necessarily like. But creating that aura and a better energy field and a better balance, they start to pick up on that and sense on that. I'm not necessarily going to make that disparaging comment to that individual today. Yeah, I need it. Sometimes, and as I believe in a higher vibration, really is able to bring us back in together, because you want to be a part of that. A much more higher vibration as opposed to negative is going to trump it all day long.
Yeah, it really helps to fill our cup and build resilience. We can bounce back if things, have affected us. And apart from that, it's absolutely gorgeous to listen to. Have it playing in the background, and wow, or in the car to and from work, or on your little iPhones, or it's just like effortless. But it's such. I think self-love is self-care in action, and I think part of what you're doing allows people to really fill their cup and not necessarily fill their cup with where they think they need to be filled either. There might be certain unconscious aspects to what's running that they're not even aware of. And so if they're willing to fill their cup, and I think all it takes is willingness. We let in the higher vibrational frequencies when we're willing. We can allow ourselves to be really transformed effortlessly just by turning up and sitting in those vibrations. So it's a real gift we give to ourselves when we allow that, when we say yes to those high vibrational frequencies. Like I like to call them in meditation and good example was, the other day or yesterday when I was having all my examinations and stuff like that, I was being poked and prodded and twisted and turned and all that. It was a little bit painful, but I called in my higher resources, and I think if I hadn't, I probably would have been sweating profusely and just really nervous and feeling worried or something. But I just felt so calm and peaceful, and I think at one point the radiologist said to me, "Oh, are you okay?" I think she knew. I was just like, yeah, picture's a little bit, I'm all right, and it was just nice to be in that calm space where, you know, the other person could tell that this could be quite traumatic even. I imagine it would be for some people. But when you're calling in those high vibrational frequencies, after you've had a connection with them and you call them in, they can really help calm you in any situation. And, you know, you internalize them, don't you, Ted? It's like they're like buddies, aren't they? They're like buddies, right? It's like call on your buddy, you know, okay, cool. Yeah, I feel good. Awesome. Feeling yummy. And sometimes we need a bit of practice with that. And that's where the music helps too. It really makes it more real for people, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It gets you more back in touch into yourself. It gets you more grounded. It connects you back with your higher self. You know, when you hit fear, you're just like, hit the overload button. It's just like, oh, wait, okay. I can't think, beep, beep. Where do I go from here? And it's the worst. It's unorganized chaos. And when you could just stop, get back to grounded, get yourself centered, get your energy back with you, pull in on that energy, take that deep breath, and it clears stuff just so fast, so quick. Not to get off topic, you recently got your motorcycle license, right? Did you go?
I got my learners, and I went through a process. Haven't actually gone for the motorcycle full open license yet. That I'm going to do, but I've really I had to overcome a fear around the bikes falling on me because two had fallen on me. It's so funny. I look at motorbikes now and I just think that's so funny that motorbikes fell on me. But it was because for whatever reason I had this traumatic energy around not understanding it or really not connecting with it. And so that whole process of going through, getting my learners, doing motorbike lessons and things like that was really about calling in my faith, because that's, for me, a really high vibrational frequency. And now I'm really enjoying, I've got my learners so I can scoot around town on my 50cc scooter, and I love it, and it's so fun, and I can't wait to get on my scooter every day that I'm using it, you know. And I kind of feel like the bee's knees, to be honest, because it's not like a showy thing. It's more I can do this. This is cool. Spirit's got my back. I overcame this. Now we're having fun and I'm enjoying. It's like a triumph of sorts, you know. So less important for me to have to go for the final test than to enjoy the fact that I got over that trauma. So were we going to say something about that?
No, that's kind of the point. You made the point exactly that I was kind of trying to go look at. I love riding a motorcycle. And I took a journey from here in Colorado up to Alaska and came back. And it was the greatest spiritual journey, because I realized when I'm on that motorcycle, and I'm not the guy that has the Bluetooth and the music all playing or anything like that. I did 5,000 miles in about 12 days. So I was flying, but my awareness and my consciousness was so acute to where I was at that it's like the whole world just opened up all around me. And it was shortly that I came back from that was like, I knew that this was going to be the path, was my music. And it's just every time I get on there, I get scared when I get on the motorcycle, because my bike is something like 500 plus pounds wet. And you get on a highway and you're next to a big semi that's right next to you that you know is happening. You're like an ant right next to wherever he's at. Does he see you or not? And it's just, now you're aware, what's he thinking and what's he going to do? Is he going to do the lane change? And that's just the consciousness of that. The next closest thing, this is what led me with doing my music, is that how can we create that sense of oneness, that sense of wholeness, where you're truly connected with yourself. The other thing, every September, I like to go up into the Rockies and go backpacking, and just with a backpack and sleep on the ground. I'll have a tarp over the top of me, and there's something scary about that. I've had bears like 15 feet away from me, just like, what are you doing here? No, I'm terrified, but it's like, they're seeing me and I'm seeing them, and it's like, okay, we'll just kind of go on our own frequency. The amount of elk that be able to see, and to go and get fresh water out of a running stream, just the coolness of it from glacial runoff and snow. So and I remember hearing about you talking to your motorcycle. I'm like, do you feel connected being on that with a sense of wholeness?
Yeah, for sure now. It's like I've integrated it. If it was to fall on...
Uh-oh. I'm not technically savvy. You'd think one would be, but clearly I'm...
I love intuitive broadcasting because it allows for everything to happen, and you just, whatever.
Unplugged computer, cell phone ring.
Yeah, checklist. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. I need to close down my Facebook so I don't get messages come through and going, boom. And then, you get the occasional person who thinks they could just call you randomly on your messenger. What the hell is going on here?
I leave it so far away, and the fact that it's in here, it's like, oh no, I never have it with me. It's like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Welcome to humanity. Hey, I have to ask this. I'm really the feeling I got around our last conversation was that there's a real need for you to get your messages out there. And I'm just curious, has there been any like movement towards that, in so far as touring or globally getting out there and sharing the amazing work you're doing? So, I know that there's time and a place for that, and sometimes we're really just called to be creative and be in our cave and all that. But I just felt like there was just something about that, like, I'm a big fan, so I want to know too for myself, but.
Not really, because I spent some time over in Europe and actually got to go over to the Ukraine and spend a little time over there, and which was truly amazing for me over there. I was with a media company and a translator to help me speak the language, and so I kind of did a little bit of stuff over there, but not really so much, because I just keep feeling that my calling is here in the studio, and with all the recording and all this new stuff that keeps coming to me. I've got a couple companies that are helping me out by letting me go and experiment with some of their new equipment. I've got the next album, as soon as this one comes out, it's got the next one where I'm going to be playing with another new piece of equipment, and constantly fine tuning and tweaking it, because I think if there's a message that I have, it's for us to find these more healthy frequencies and a higher vibration so that we can be infectious with everybody else. I think that sometimes we get so caught up in the trauma, in the drama of bad news, that we forget what our life purposes are, because now we're stuck in that with so much going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, instead of like, hey, oh my God, and so that's kind of where I'm kind of come from, is playing more with the music to get more of that out there.
Yeah, and that's cool, and I feel like it's important work. Just what I feel coming through is that what you're doing now, it's so intrinsically linked to what you're going to be sharing out there. It is priceless information. People don't really quite realize how powerful this is yet. And it's like you've got this collective energy of what you're doing, building, and it feels like you're still on the journey to that in the R&D phase, if you like, but also in the creative phase, because as you're R&Ding, research and development phase, it's also then popping out creations, obviously, but it feels to me like it's I like to think of it like this: it's its own being, and it's not quite ready to be shared in its full capacity with all the integrations that are possible yet, and it's on its way to being, absolutely. And every component of its beingness you're sharing along the way is absolutely vibrantly powerful, but at the same time it's like there's this collective beingness about it that needs to come to pass, and that is taking time, and there's no rush, and that's the message coming through that I've got around it. Do you kind of resonate with that, like for yourself?
Yeah. I had a couple opportunities to play at some festivals and stuff, and we were going to do it, and I was in the process of putting together a system so it could really come out and show a lot of different type of dynamics of just the frequencies, because we're so used to being able to put them on and kind of hear them. But it's like, okay, what would it be like to really see as an artist come out and perform it? And the other thing that's a little bit difficult with that is that I play all my own instruments and record everything. So I kind of joke around, I'll be the guy with the big drum on his back and a hi-hat kind of going here on the guitar and crunching it all together, walking in the accordion. But the technology just keeps evolving and evolving and evolving. I mean, it's enabling us to talk to each other worlds away. So the possibilities is definitely there, and we've been kind of talking about it, but just keep going right back into here, and tunes just keep popping out.
Maybe there's an opportunity to also, I don't know if you've thought about this, but to create some kind of like a documentary around it as well, like an educational documentary around it, because then that gives people an idea of the process as well. And yeah, that could be really interesting too. Have you thought about that? Because that's just coming through for me.
I'll be honest with you, I never thought of myself in a documentary. So I always felt that I was the guy behind the mixing console and the engineer. So, but yeah, we've got some footage of some stuff that I've kind of talked about, and I've had the opportunity standing in a room with a bunch of doctors and being able to really kind of show through biophotonic imaging how this is changing people and us in our body chemistry. They were using them on athletes in the Sochi, the Olympics back then. And so it's kind of cool seeing the before, the after, and how we put it all back together. And so I have some documentation that's dealing with that. I do have some documentation that's also showing how the energy is held into some other objects. I've got some videos that are up on my website at tedwinslow.com. So as I talk about this and people are like, okay, you got videos and you can show how you're doing this and the science behind it, wanted to put that in a format that's easily so everybody can be able to go see it. And in fact, because I'm so huge believer in this, that for your listeners, if they can, we're going to give away Angelic Sound Healing, which is my Amazon best-selling album. If they go on to my website, I can't do it through iTunes and I can't do it through Amazon, but if they go to my website at tedwinslow.com, you can go into the store, and in the store you'll look up Angelic Sound Healing. You'll go ahead and do that to checkout, but before you check out, there's going to be a coupon code down in the lower left-hand corner. Type in radio onto that, so then they can get that, because that way everybody's going to be able to hear that for themselves and hear that, and then it just expands. And that's the angels. The angels have given me this. I've been so blessed to be able to do this. It's like, how can we get this to people? And there's an easy way to do it. And once it's tasted the angelic frequencies, there's a whole plethora of that much more out there to be able to go explore.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that is it. Radio, RADIO. Is that what they type in at the checkout point?
Correct. RADIO. If it tells you to put in your credit card number or anything like that, you've done it wrong. So that way it'll show a zero balance, and then you can proceed through the checkout with that.
Oh, that's awesome. It's a beautiful gift. So good. I know. I think it's like, you're right. There's so many like innovative ways of getting our messages out there nowadays, and it helps us to be able to think creatively as well about how we can do this. I feel like this year I've just fallen into filmmaking, so I'm in humility. It's a bit like you and I, when we were talking in our initial conversation, and you know, I was just expressing to you about how this is not about being a guru, rah, rah, and you're like, I wouldn't know what it's like to be a guru. I play a couple of instruments, you know, that's it, sort of thing. And it's a bit like that. It's like, oh, I don't know how to be a filmmaker, but I'm sure they'll tell me how. Like, but I feel like I keep bumping up ever since that's happened at the beginning of this year. I keep bumping up against people that I feel, oh wow, I'd be interested to make a movie about that, or a documentary about that. And I feel like Spirit's actually sending me the people and the opportunities to go, oh, I have no idea how, but I'm sharing that openly and honestly with everybody, because I feel like it's really important to share authentically where you're at every step of the way. Just because they say I can, and that's something that I need to do to grow, doesn't mean I know how to do it yet, and that's okay. And I'm sharing that with you because obviously, you know, we're fumbling along, exploring it, our creativity, and how Spirit wants us to do that is really our business, really. It's just something that we turn up for, isn't it?
Well, and how blessed are we to be able to have you there, to be able to document this with your vast knowledge and everything that you've done for connecting people, and that you're well connected and bringing in with the messages, and be able to share that and just help everybody else through, you know, this wonderful journey that we're doing on this planet.
Oh, thank you. I feel really excited to receive your compliments, because I feel like that they're very genuine. And yeah, I guess I don't look at myself as doing anything special. I just look at what I'm doing as a necessity for contributing to, might sound a bit narcissistic, but to my own personal growth. Because if I didn't do it, I would stagnate, and I know that that wouldn't help the planet. So I have to keep evolving. I have to keep stretching. I have to keep turning up. It's not narcissistic because it is for the greater good, but it can't not include me, because I'm here in this life, walking in this body. And so I have to look at all the intentionality behind what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. If this was about the money, I wouldn't do it, because there probably wouldn't be enough money or resources to do the job I'm doing. So there can't be enough time and resources and everything. It has to just be what I've got. And I can't make it about money, and I can't make it about time. All I can make it about is I'm called to do this today, and this is what I'm going to do. And I don't understand it. I don't know how it works, Ted, but I just feel like every time I turn up to do it, the money comes, the time comes, it's an incredible energy to be in. And I do want to share this to people. I feel like if you're sitting in that place inside of yourself where you go, well, I just don't have enough time. Oh, I just don't have enough money. Oh, I won't pay the bills. Yeah. You haven't got to the point where you realize you can't not do it. Because when you get to the point where you realize I can't not do this, if I don't do it, my soul dies. When you get to that point, your intentionality behind every single thing you do is absolutely pure, because you know you have to do it. This is the way you have to go, because you're thriving, the spirit's soaring. Talk about freedom. We think turning up and just listening and doing what we're called to do is, oh, you're in jail, you're just turning up, blah, blah. No, freedom, baby, freedom. Rock on, freedom, true freedom.
Well, you know, and look at the other skill that we're so blessed with you doing this is that you've got the gift of communication. I mean, there's so many people that are out there that think that they're communicators, but they're really not, because it's an important aspect with someone who can communicate to also connect other people to be able to together to come in through that, and the willingness to want to learn. I mean, I always kid around. I know what's the saying. It's like, I know I don't know what I don't know that I don't know. And always being able to push ourselves into another, you know, not really an uncomfortable direction, but sometimes it can be very uncomfortable. When I left, you know, the corporate world and the safety of the money and the safety of the 9-to-5 job, knowing that I could go there, but I wanted, and it's funny because as I do this, I thought the main reason I want to do this is I want to be able to have more time to myself. And I find I've got less time to myself, but by far I'm much more happier with what I'm doing with my time and the productivity of my time and the connections of meeting with those people on top of it. And it's the journey, and more about the journey instead of the money. Granted, we all need money to be there, but it will show up. You have to believe in what you're doing. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to go start working on a new genre of music when the music industry is just falling on top of itself. And it's like, wow, that's pretty scary, but find a way, and it gets better every day. And I love it. And I love the people that I'm meeting with on this, and it's supporting me and in so many more ways than I ever really even imagined possible. And the feedback, the positive feedback that I get from so many people on saying that, you know, they, at their worst time, they were able to put on my music and it really helped them through if they thought that they had possibility of a heart attack, or if they have an illness, a bad illness. I've got some great testimonies from people that I had a 9/11 we had here in the States. 9/11 happened with the two twin fault towers crashing down, and an individual who was a firefighter that was out there for like 15 weeks, and the atrocities that he saw, well, he talk about losing a lot of his energy and all of that, and he's, you know, prescriptions and all of this other stuff because he can't sleep at night and he's not connecting with his family. And so I said, listen to these albums, listen to these songs. This is the intentions you want to be able to go out and set. And it's really turned his life around on that. I had a friend of mine, she's a doctor, and her husband just got admitted to the hospital. And she felt like she was having some serious problems, was about to admit herself to the hospital. And she had my music on her phone, probably like an iPhone with the MP3 format, and was able to play that and started she went outside and she got grounded and listened to 2 tracks. And she's like, Ted, I feel so much better. So that's my payday right there. When I hear these stories of these people and see the comments that they put on Amazon or something, I know that that's where we're all connecting in so many ways around on healing each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the thing that keeps coming around is to ask you this question, which is, you know, one of my 12 high vibrational frequencies that I operate on is unity. And have you done some music around unity, oneness?
I have a couple tracks that are out there that are on, and I can't think off the top of my head. You keep in mind, I've got like about I think like 150 tracks of music that are out there, so I can't keep up with the names that are with them. But I've done some on those because as I get my spirits and my messages in the morning, or I'll sit down and meditate, or to start playing a song, I'll get what that is, and it's like the frequency will come into me, and then I get what the key signature is, where it's going to be sitting onto there, and how that's to lay out, or the modality. And so in a roundabout way, yeah, I've got some, but not to probably the extent that is like solely focused on unity. I get this stuff sometimes, it comes in so fast, I'll have it all completed and done in a week, and then something else is coming in. And it's like, I can see levels of all of it coming right in. It's like, okay, this one's off, next one's in, off, next one. So unfortunately, not quite yet. I've got another angelic album that is sitting there, and it's all written out and everything, but I haven't recorded it, and it's been almost about 1.5 years. I don't know where the time's going. Like,
oh yeah, I know it'll be divine timing when that comes through. Yeah, no, curious because I don't know. I feel like that for me is really where there's a real difference in people that are, you know, becoming more conscious and coming from unity or we consciousness rather than me consciousness. You know, I think the original part of the journey is we awaken, you know, we reclaim ourselves, we heal, we fill in the chakra gaps, we let go of the stuff that is no longer serving us. We start to connect with who we are. We step into integrity and start to say no to people that we feel that we're not really resonating with, or perhaps even the energy that someone's sending towards us and we're not taking it on. And then we start to come into more of perhaps our, you know, preferences and how we are unique and why Spirit has, you know, brought us here. And then we learn to share. And because we've claimed the self, know the self, understand perhaps our greater mission, and then we step into we consciousness and unity, and take ownership and responsibility for what we're here to do. So there's a real difference between, of course, then just surrender and letting go and not doing anything, and really owning our purpose, and then also opening our heart to everyone else in oneness and going, hey, I see you, and I see me too at the same time. And I feel like unity is really a big one that is coming up, that people bump up against, especially in spiritual communities, where they have a scarcity mentality around their own work, and I can't share that with you because you might steal it, or blah, blah, blah. And I find I know it's the irony of becoming awakened, isn't it? But there's that also that other crew that are coming into the unity consciousness that I tend to resonate with. Because there's not that fear around not enoughness. There's a real belief in expansiveness, that as we co-create together, as we collaborate, as we share, we increase the consciousness so much that we increase the market demand, because we create market demand. So the more, of course, the more market demands, the more services are required, the more we help. And that's, for me, that's a really important point to make, because I feel like, well, I just want to speak to it, that that's how the consciousness I feel we operate in, which is probably highly transparent here. And that I stand for that, and I want to encourage that. And I appreciate what you're saying, that, oh, thank you for me being a great communicator and being willing to connect people. But that's because I've chosen to step into that unity consciousness.
I like it. You're leading the consciousness revolution of the conscious market makers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, baby. Create that market demand. Create it.
No, it's amazing, because I'll get to work with a lot of different generations of people. And this next album, which is kind of taking a little bit more of a different turn, because most of my stuff when I was working on it was helped to get us to more rest and to sleep, to get into the, okay, I'm going to get long-winded here on this. Stay with me here. But it's like when I was tapping into my inner self and learning about consciousness and more about my spirituality, my higher self, I had all these people that were telling me that I needed to spend like 90 minutes in meditation. And it's funny that we brought up, talked about time, but man, who's got 90 minutes, that luxury every day to sit down and go into meditation? I'm like, I don't need to do it. I need to get there and get going through it. And that's what led me going with this music, and that I have with these past albums, and as well as that a lot of people couldn't sleep at night. They would have insomnia. And here's a great way to wash yourself of all of this, because our body just thirsts for these frequencies. It just drinks them up. I looked at it like as a smoothie. I would drink a carrot smoothie, which I know is good for me, but I could have a smoothie that's going to have kale, it's going to have ginger, it's going to have turmeric, it's going to have apples, oranges, pineapples, and that much more. It's good for me. And then listening to that just kind of cleanses ourselves as we sleep, to help us get into a better rest pattern, to get up and start that next day again. So the next one is, I've been watching the millennials, because as we talk about community, these guys are all, in my opinion, they're all about community. They're like the first ones that are stepping up. I'll volunteer for that. I'd like to go do that. I believe in that cause. I want to go take care of that. And I'm listening to my music as I exercise, and I'm like, I kind of want something a little bit more upbeat, but still has that frequency that's going to help change me with the frequency. And, you know, as, again, to the product of the 80s, I've got my 80s music, and when I'm working out, and of course I'm agitated. I'm like, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's like, whoa, you're creating and destroying, and so I started playing with some of these other frequencies. I'm like, wow, okay, I want something like that there. Granted, you'll always have the dissonant music. You just go. You can go anywhere and turn it on, and it'll be there if you need that kind of an agitation to get through the workout. But I want something that's going to train my cellular memory and be more, you know, energetic. Einstein came up with the law of, I'm going to mess it up. I think it's the law of frequency, or law of vibration. So we got the law of gravity, Newton. We got the law of lift, which is what keeps the airplane in the air. And I think it was like 1905, Einstein came through. One of the many things he did is came up with the law of vibration, that everything is in motion. We're all our own oscillators, and let's get those oscillators in tune, because when you hear oscillation frequencies all in tune with each other, it is one of the most beautiful sounds you can do. And it's vibrate. You can get them going to sound like a chorus without going too deep into that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. No, not long-winded at all. That's why this is why Spirit obviously called me to create Enlightened Conversations too, because you've got to be able to relax into the conversation and just, yeah, it's just fascinating. And I love it. I love listening to your stories and your little theories, and it's fantastic. It's awesome. And so where can people find you? Because, you know, there's always, I mean, this episode is airing on the 16th of March, so that's cool. And obviously between now and then, which is a couple months, you'll probably have lots more stuff happening, and maybe even albums available and things like that for people. So best place they can find you would probably be your website, I imagine. Would it, Ted?
You can go to my website at tedwinslow.com. I'm at Twitter, which is at Ted Winslow. And then I've got a Facebook solfeggio sound healing page, which is Ted Winslow on that one as well.
Awesome. And I'm sure, you know, look, if anybody wants to read more about Ted's amazing journey, we did capture a bit of information today too, but there's also his story in Lightworker Advocate magazine as the feature story for August in 2016 on our website. And it's also available, it's free, and it's available for download from our website as well, the whole magazine. So, but I'm really excited, Ted. I've got to say I'm so excited to be able to see you in your homeland in June this year, and I'm sure we'll be up to mischief, because there'll be stuff coming through from Spirit around everything. I just know it. I can feel it. There's rumblings happening all over the place with regards to what's next. So I'm excited. I really am. Not only that, but I'm looking forward to meeting your wife, Christina, as well. And I'd love to have her on the show. It'd be awesome too. She's amazing as well. Just let everybody know what Christina does too, just before we go, because she's a powerhouse of amazing wisdom herself, isn't she?
Yeah, it's like, what doesn't she do?
Exactly.
Dad! No, I'm kidding. She's just as yourself. She's a writer. She's has a best-selling book on Amazon, and she started up this publishing company that we've been running out of here, Big Country Publishing, and man, she's into so much stuff. I don't even really know where to begin. She's like working on her next book. She's coming in and been co-producing with me on some of this music, which is always wonderful to have another spiritual person with another set. I love her opinion and points that she brings up with listening to the music, because sometimes I can, as a musician and artist, I can kind of go off into left field, and it's people like, I don't know what I'm really getting from him. And so, you know, so she's coming in helping on co-produce with the music and all of that. And we can't wait to see you as well and have you here into the studio. And And it's so appreciative of you and all that you do and all of the vast amounts of knowledge and bringing these mediums and platforms with your newsletter and the TV and radio and your writing to everybody. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ted. Thank you so much. My hubby can't wait. He's just so excited to do a track up a mountain somewhere, and he's just like a little kid in a candy store with it. He's like, oh, what are we gonna do? Oh, it's gonna be fun. And so yes, I hope you can point us in the right direction of hiking trails as well, because that's going to be fun as well. We're going to have a ball. We go out on our nature walks, we always really feel like Spirit's really communicating to us directly through the animals and the plants and the mountains and the rocks and and all that. So I'm really looking forward to that energy as well.
Oh, you guys, I'm real close to a place that's called Red Rocks Amphitheater, and it is world renowned. So we'll have to take you there. And actually, people run fitness classes because you got to figure that our elevation here is we're a mile above sea level. So like what, 500? You guys do everything in meters, but we're a mile above sea level. I don't know what that's in kilometers. So the oxygen is much thinner here. But people will run at Red Rocks Amphitheater. They'll run the stairs, kind of up and down. And it was funny because my wife is Italian. And she had one of her family members came over from Italy, was actually going into, I think, the Italian Air Force. And so I'm like, well, great, I got just the workout for you. So you got, not just to do that, but it's just to see the beauty of it. Mumford & Sons has been there, a lot of history there. So.
Oh my God, I'm so in and so excited. And I really look forward to our next Enlightened conversation, whenever that may be. And I thank you again, Soul Brother, so much for enlightening all of us with your beautiful wisdom and energy and joy and spirit. You're just fantastic. I love you heaps, heaps, heaps. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.